Exodus 3. Let's take 1 to 7. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law. Let's read together, the priest of the Midianite. And he led the flock to the backside of the desert, and he came to the mountain of God, even to the heaven. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I would now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. 5. And he said, Draw not near either. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place wherein thou standest is a holy ground. Verse 6. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. The 7, the last. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt. I have heard their cry. I have reason of their taskmasters, for I have known their sorrows. God's presence comes with signs. When God enters a place, there are signs that show forth. A place that God dwells is a place you see signs. Once God is in a place, there are moves you see. There are people who don't understand when God comes. We are talking about the God of fire and miracle, but there are people who don't understand the moment in their life if God has entered. There are times you need to engage yourself on a battle, and there are times you need to engage yourself on a praise. The Bible says Moses was taking care of the sheep of his father-in-law. He was an ordinary person. There was a place called the mountain of God. The mountain of God can as well describe the church. There are certain moves that you will see in the church. You need nobody to tell you that God has arrived. There are people who are not sensitive in the church. While they are in the church, they are still fleshy. Moses was an ordinary man that was taking care of the sheep at the desert, but there was a place he got to. He saw something different, something new. He decided to know, I want to know why this bush is burning and yet this bush is not consumed. So that's to say, he's trying to engage himself on what was actually on. I have seen men in the church, even when God is working, they are not engaging. Do you know this? There are times you see men, when the preaching is on, they are moving their lips. When the message is on, you see some people moving their lips. What do you think they are doing? They are engaging. Some don't even know when to battle. Some don't know when to praise. Men that want to engage in the presence of God does not look at themselves. They look at the presence. When you enter the mountain, there are things you see in the mountain that confuse you. What will make you to understand it is when you engage yourself in the spirit. We are talking about the God, but there are many here who don't know how to engage on the God. Can I say something to you? God is far bigger than when you go to your house. Yes, we know God like worship. Do you know there are people that worship God in their house and yet nothing comes down? I don't know if I'm talking to somebody here. Can somebody say I hear? There are people that goes down in their house, they want to worship God, and yet they worship God, nothing happens. There is a way you will worship God, you will be carried away. See, your spirit is what is worshiping, not the flesh. There are many using the flesh to worship, not the spirit. And that's why the Bible says those that will worship him must worship him in what? In spirit. So there is a spirit connecting to a spirit. Until you understand that your worship is not in the flesh, your worship is in the spirit, you cannot draw down God.